Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream live on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time if you're in the United States. That's midday if you're in Australia, or 1 or 2 a.m. I believe if you're in the UK or Europe. I hope you guys are well and you had a good weekend. Hellforge, it's good to see you. Hi, that's right. Selfless One, hey! Smurfberry, always good to see you as well. Remember guys, if you miss the live streams, you can catch up at any time by clicking the videos tab on my Twitch channel or going to my YouTube channel, which is /PhilDoes3D. If you're watching me on YouTube, you will find a link to my Twitch channel in the description below my video. So click that and you can go and watch the very latest streams on my Twitch channel. Remember too, if you want to join the Phil Does 3D Discord server, click the link Hellforge has helpfully popped into Twitch chat, or go to the About Me section on my Twitch channel, and in my panels you'll find a blue graphic. Click that to get an invite link to join the Discord at any time, not just when I'm live. We're going to continue working on a game called The House on the Hollow. You can wishlist that now on Steam. Click the link Hellforge popped into Twitch chat, or again, click the link if you're watching me on my YouTube channel in the description below my video. That'll take you to the Steam store page. And if you want to know more about me and what I do, you can go to my website, which is my Twitch username, PhilDoes3D with a .com on the end of it. That'll take you to my website. Okay. Coffee, Hellforge says yes. Always a good time for coffee. So did you guys have a good weekend? Get up to anything interesting? I ended up watching the new James Bond film. It was okay. Wasn't great. Wasn't terrible, but you know, I'd hoped for more. It was alright. I guess, yeah, no, it was alright. Okay, so we're going to jump in and Hellforge says, I sat down and tried to learn Maya. Oh, oh, Maya. Well, Maya's a good program as well, good 3D program. And how's it going? Look, I have to admit, you guys know I use 3D Studio Max. I love Max. I have played with Maya before, but I don't find Maya as intuitive as, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm just used to Max. I found Maya harder to use than Max. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But it's a very good 3D program. They all are now, including Blender, which is completely free. Remember though too, if you do want to use Autodesk products like Max or Maya, you can buy what they call an indie license, which is, I believe, around $250 to $300 a year. That you can use it commercially, so that's always an option. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on Autodesk products if you want to. But you got to subscribe now; it's the only way to get them, unless you buy the indie license. So it's a cheaper alternative. It's still expensive. Look, I know $250, $300 is still a lot of money, but that's what Blender is for. Blender's completely free, so, and it's very good. Maya's used a lot. A lot of my animator friends like Maya. The animation tools are really good in Maya. 3D Studio Max tends to be used more in ArchViz because it has a lot of built-in stuff for ArchViz. It was, you know, always used extensively in architectural visualization. So they built a lot of stuff in, like stairs, and all this sort of stuff is built into the program to create stairs and stuff. So that's why the ArchViz people love it. Hellboy says, I want to flip a table and set fire to it. I'm not a fan of the user interface and the destructive workflow. Smurfberry says, I don't know what you're talking about. It has the best navigation. I'd pay for a perpetual license at that price with an agreement to upgrade to a full perpetual license if I exceeded a certain dollar figure of sales. Well, that's how the Unreal Engine works, of course. It's completely free to use Unreal. Download it, install it, use it, make a game with it, do whatever you want to sell with it. It's only after you've made $1 million in sales that Epic Games then take a 5% royalty, I believe it is, after $1 million. So they don't hit you for any money at all, up to $1 million. Anything you make after $1 million, though, then is subject to a 5% royalty to Epic Games. But that's a very good deal, because the Unreal Engine has been in development for decades. They've put a huge amount of work into making that program, and the fact that they give it to you for free is good. Autodesk used to give you, or they still do, if you're a student, you can get a student license for free from Autodesk, but they make you jump through a lot more hoops now than they used to. It used to just be that you gave them a student email address and you could download and install the program. They gave you a year's license completely free. It used to be 3 years. Then Autodesk cut it back to 1 year. But now they also want you to upload proof that you're a student. So your student ID card or proof of enrollment, that sort of thing. But that's another option. If you are studying, you can get it for free from Autodesk for a year. They'll give you a free license. So that's Maya, Max, a lot of the Autodesk software. So it would be nice, Smurf, if Autodesk did that as well. If they sort of gave it to you for free and then said, after you earn this much, you've got to pay it. A lot of software is like that. SpeedTree is like that as well. Because you can, of course, get a subscription to SpeedTree for around, I think it's around $20 a month. If you want to use SpeedTree in the Unreal Engine, even though Unity have bought SpeedTree now, so let's see what happens in the future. And I believe it's after a certain dollar figure that's you have to start paying a royalty to SpeedTree. I think. I could be wrong about that. Helpwood says, I just have to accept that in order to get a job, I need to learn Maya as well, so I might as well just get on with it. Fair enough. Look, I have seen jobs advertised for Blender, so I don't think learning Blender is a waste of time, because it's not. And learning Blender will help you then pick up other 3D software. So my advice to people, if they don't have the money or they don't want to spend the money, download Blender, install it, learn it, because the tools you use in Blender are going to be the same no matter what 3D software you're using, whether it's, Max or Maya or Cinema 4D. They all work on polys and vertices, and once you get your head around all of that, it'll really help you learn new software, because learning new software is really only getting used to the interface, really. Once you know the basics, it's really just getting familiar with where things are and how things work in the interface more than anything. That's why we hate ZBrush so much. Because they make it so hard to learn that program because the interface is terrible. Hello, Android Lust, it's good to see you. But you are correct, Hellforge. Yeah, learning Maya or Max or Cinema 4D, they're all good things to know if you want to get a job. All of the studios I've worked at, and I've worked in film, I've worked in games, I still work in games, and in ArchViz, they have all used either Maya or Max, or generally both. Usually what happens with a lot of studios is they give you an option. They say, do you want to use Maya? Do you want to use Max? Because they generally buy multiple licenses for both programs, so they give you that option. Most studios do. So learning either one will be good. Learning both is better. My advice has always been, no, get good at one program before you start trying to branch out into learning others. Yeah, it'll make your life much easier, and it's better in the long run. You don't want to sort of like, I'll use Maya for a couple of weeks and I'll jump into Max for a couple of weeks and I'll use Cinema 4D, and I'm trying to learn them all at the same time is not a good way to go. Just learn one really well and then you can start learning the others. I hope you had a good weekend, Android Dust. It's good to see you. Smurf says, I'd pay up front if it doesn't have to be free. It just has to be affordable for a hobbyist who may never see a return on investment. Well, again, Autodesk give you an indie license, and it's around $250. They just put it up, but it might be about $300 a year now. I don't know whether you consider that affordable or not. I know Marmoset, that's about what? That's a couple of hundred, isn't it? That's a perpetual license, so it's probably not fair to compare them. Yeah, so $300 a year, commercial use if you want. That's better than $6,000 a year, which is what Max generally used to cost. Or Maya. Android Lust says ZBrush has a beautiful user interface. No, it doesn't. Don't get me started. I haven't even reinstalled ZBrush since I installed Windows 11. I guess I should, really. Yeah, I guess I should. ZBrush 2022 is due to be released any time now, so in the next month or two, there's a new version of ZBrush coming out. 2022. And they always do have, look, to Pixelogic's credit, as much as I hate ZBrush, they do always do add really interesting new stuff, and every time they do an update, unlike Autodesk, who just, their updates are pretty wishy-washy, the new features that they give you and stuff, but Pixelogic, they do add some really useful and interesting new features every time they update the software, so kudos to them for that, and only that. Smurf says, I consider that to be affordable if it's perpetual. Yeah, no, it's not perpetual though. It's only a year's license. Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. Yeah. If it was $300 for a perpetual, then I agree, that would be an amazing deal with Autodesk, but it's not. It's only for a year. Of course, you can rent it if you don't need to use 3D software that often as well. You don't have to buy a year's license. You can just buy month to month like you can with Adobe now. Smurf says, I don't consider several $100s a year to be affordable at the hobby level. No, but $300 a year, I don't know whether you consider that affordable. Ah, I'm getting a slap. Who slapped me? I've got a mod slap from Smurf, okay. Android Lost says, I told myself years ago that I'd learn Max and I still haven't touched it. Hellforge says, I've used Blender for 4 years without modeling add-ons. So I'm good enough. Should any studio I get a job at switch over to that. I just need to get the foot in the door, and for that I need Maya. Fair enough. Well, if you've used Blender for 4 years and you're familiar with the program, by all means, yeah, learn Maya. Do know, just like I said, though, Maya is more favoured by animators. I mean, 3D people use it as well that aren't animators, don't get me wrong, but generally it's animators that like Maya because the animation tools are really good. And it really, yeah, it does depend too on what sort of field you want to enter with regard to 3D software. But again, like I said, most studios give you an option of Max or Maya, so, because they're both from Autodesk. These studios buy licenses from Autodesk, and they have them in reserve for people that they bring in new people, and they generally have both because it's all under their one subscription plan, studio subscription plan. So it's no skin up their nose to offer both to whoever they bring in. Because some people do prefer, some people are more used to a piece of 3D software in particular, like I'm a Max person, so I'd always choose Max. Alford says, ZBrush 2022, is that the year's version or named for the amount of buttons they've stuffed into the terrible user interface? Yeah, that's right, 2022, terrible buttons hidden within menus, within menus, within menus. And that whole 2.5D interface thing on ZBrush, it's just do away with it, Pixelogic. No one uses it. I'm sure there are some people that use it, but I don't like it. I want it gone. Give me the option to get rid of it then. That's what I don't like about ZBrush. They don't give you the option to really turn things on and off, or you can tailor the interface sort of, but yeah, I don't know. Smurf says renting software in all capitals. That's exactly right. We don't like the rental model. We don't like the subscription model. Companies, we don't like it. You know, stop paying your subscription. You can't access the software anymore. Well, I mean, for people that use it occasionally, that might be very beneficial, but for people that use it all the time, that sucks because we end up paying much more money for it. If we stop paying for it, we can't use it. Give us perpetual licenses back. Stop this subscription nonsense. And I mean, you know why they do it, because they make more money. I understand why they do it, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. Helford says, the studio I'm aiming for have it as a critical part of their pipeline, so I need to know it. Fair enough. There are many studios that use Maya. Many studios. So, you know, not just that. Wouldn't be good just to learn it for that studio, because there's lots of others that use it as well. Android Lost says, speaking of animating, I plan on animating my next character. But I have to pause the project for a little bit. Well, I look forward to seeing that, because your character work is amazing and I'd love to see them animated. They just look outstanding. I don't know, have you done a lot of animation work, Android Lost? I'm assuming you're going to have to rig your characters and stuff to animate them. And it's usually the rigging part that's the most difficult. Well, I shouldn't say that. Animation's difficult as well. You guys saw that bird I animated. It's hard. And I'm not an animator, so full respect to animators because they do an amazing job. I've always really, I guess that's probably why I have a lot of animator friends, because I can't do it. And I find it really amazing to see something come to life, the way an animator can bring a model to life. That just fascinates me. I love seeing that. I think it's great. Copy. Yes, copy, Hellforge. Android Love says, I rigged the character and everything. Oh, all that's left is animating for the most part. Cool. Because, yeah, rigging can be quite challenging to make sure you get things rigged correctly so that they deform correctly when you animate it. That's why I'm really impressed with Epic Games' new, what do they call that character thing that they've got? The program that makes characters. I can't remember what they call it now. I haven't used it, but I've seen the results from it, and it looks really, really cool. Like where you actually create your character. 3D character. And then you can just assign an epic skeleton. Actually, I'm not sure if it works on an epic skeleton, because it's a bit different, I think, now. And I haven't looked into it, but yeah. Hellwood says, I mean, you do get really animated when you talk about ZBrush, so I think that counts. Oh, thank you, Hellwood. Don't get me started on ZBrush. I'll be here for half an hour bitching. Rigging Android Lust with hands in the head. MetaHuman, thank you, Hellforge. Yes, Epic Games MetaHuman. It's very, very cool software. Because the characters you can create with it are very realistic. And then, like I said, once you create the character, again, I'm not sure about the skeleton, I don't know if you can map it to an epic skeleton or not. I think it might be a bit different. But anyway, I guess we'll find out everything once Unreal version 5 is released officially at the beginning of next year and they integrate everything together. Hellboard says, I can never recall it as I don't do anything with character. Yeah, me the same. I'm the same. Me too. I don't generally do character work, so I don't really know a huge amount about it. I mean, I have access to it, as does everyone, because Epic Games give it to you to use for free, but I haven't actually played with it. The last character I worked on was a long time ago, actually. It was when I was with the game studio, I think, from memory. Or did I do something else after that? Because a part of my work, you guys know I work for an Archviz studio. I'm working for a game studio now with the House on the Hollow game. But I also do contract work, and because I'm a multimedia artist and not just a 3D artist, I generally take work on occasionally too that's like application work, where it's not just doing the 3D, it's creating an application, creating the multimedia for it, whether that's video or environment, and I believe I worked on an application a few years ago where I actually had to create an animated little mouse. So yeah, I had to set up the control rig for all of that sort of stuff and animate this little mouse, which were very basic animations, so I could do it. Yeah, so I think that was probably the last sort of like character work I did. Little animated mouse, little fluffy animated mouse. So Hellwood says, so back in 1836 that she did some character work. Oh, you're as bad as Sniper Girl. Where is she, by the way? I haven't seen her for a few days. I hope she's alright. Is she in the Discord? Hang on, I'm going to check. Yeah, she's online. Where are you, Sniper Ghost? No, she's not online. Sniper Ghost is online. She's idle. I hope she's doing well. Discord. Thank you. Yes, that's the Discord link. Hellport's popped into Twitch chat. And I was just checking the Discord to see if Sniper Girl was around. And she is logged into Discord, but she's idle, so maybe she's having a bath, because she does like to have a bath around this time. Okay, we're going to jump into Max, and we're going to continue working on the fence for the car gate. So, last week we were working on these bits and pieces for the fence, and we're going to continue that now. These are really high resolution pieces, so we're going to be doing some poly reduction on the ones we bring into the game engine. So I'm just going to duplicate this piece, and we're going to call it low res. Where's my pointer gone? Where is my mouse? There we go. We're going to throw a poly cruncher on it, which again is a plugin that I purchased because I really like. It's from a company called Moo Tools. So if you're a Max user, I do recommend Polygon Cruncher. Max has Pro Optimizer built in, which does a similar thing. But I don't find it's quite as good as Polygon Cruncher. But you do have to pay Polygon Cruncher, so. Pick your poison. Use Pro Optimizer if you don't want to spend any more money on Max, because it's good too. Let's do a calculate on you. We'll just wait for that, because it's got to do... Basically, the algorithm runs over the mesh and decides... It's basically doing a reduction all the way down to 0 before we get to use it. So that's why it's so responsive when we actually start changing the percentage value in it. And again, I've got to wait for Max here. And these are really high polygon assets. The entire scene here is about 37 million polygons. The ones in the back are the high-res, high poly, and the ones in the front are the ones we're reducing down for the game. But this is the reason that the file size, when I save this file out, it's about 5 gigabytes because of these 37 million polygon assets. So they're scanned models, yeah. Helpful just saying, did you model or scan these? These are scanned. So that's why they're so high resolution, high poly. And that's why I have to do these reductions on them. They are photo scanned. We've made some, like I said, these pieces were actually not meant to be used as a fence. They were meant to be used for buildings. So things like trims at the top of buildings, lower facades, that sort of thing. And we're repurposing them now to turn them into items to use for a fence. Because why not? That's half the fun of 3D. Why not? Max hasn't crashed, trust me, it just does take a while because the polys are so high. Good opportunity for more copy. So once we're finished doing a reduction on the pieces for the fence, what we're going to do then is we're going to take those I have to decide whether I want to do any paint over on the texture in Substance Painter. I'm not sure whether I do want to or I don't want to. I'm just worried that the fences look a bit clean. But if we start to do a paint over, because we want to reuse those sections for the entire fence, we have to be careful we don't texture each piece up too uniquely, because then when we start to duplicate it in the game engine, it's going to be really noticeable. So yeah, I'm still deciding about whether we're going to do a repaint over them or not. Maybe if we do a subtle repaint, it might be okay. Helpwood says that makes sense. The only time I've ever seen those high geometry numbers and questionable topology is when I fall asleep on my keyboard and apply 6 times sub D and decimate modifiers. Yeah, no, it's photogrammetry. That's why they're so high. But actually, I think they're actually not even photogrammetry. I think they're laser scans from memory. And laser scans can give you really high poly models. Okay. Ah, Sniper Girl, we were just talking about you. I checked in the Discord to see if you were around, because I didn't see you last week. I hope you're well. I'm saying we hope you're okay. It's good to see you, Sniper Girl. I hope you had a good weekend. Sniper Girl says I didn't do it. We were just saying maybe you were having a bath, because I know it's your bath time around now. So we're going to take this model piece down to 1% of what it's currently at. Helpwood says laser scanned from memory. Damn, Phil, I know you live in the future, but that's flexing it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these were laser scanned. The high-res versions back here. So let us let us do a collapse of the stack so we can clean it up, because I want to do another poly crunch on top of this again. Keep the textures, keep the normals, merge the vertices, calculate. And let's go at 50. Let's go down to 20. 20 is too much. 30, 40, I think 50 is probably about as low as we could probably go. Let's do our weighted normals down, and we're going to turn on by edge angle to clean it up. So we've gone from, I can't remember, I think this was around about 1.5 million polys down to around, well, much less than 1% of what it was. Let's collapse the stack. Helpwood says, I called him old and he wondered where you were. That's right. It reminded me. Usually she's the one that gives me a hard time about my age. It's good to see you, Sniper Girl, though. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so let us just do a save here, and it will take Max a while to save this out because, again, we've got like 37 million polygons here and these high-res versions in the back, and it's about a 5 GB file to save out, so Max takes a little while. Sniper Girl says, honestly, been a rough day. Sick? Oh no. Thinking food poisoning? No. Just glad the worst is behind me. How are you? I'm doing good. I'm really well, but that's not good to hear. Food poisoning? Yuck. Not good. Yeah, not good. Make sure you're staying hydrated and stuff, Sniper Girl, as well. Like drink a lot of water and things. You got to be careful with food poisoning. And again, being an ex-chef, I know all about food poisoning because it was one of the subjects when I was. Part of being a chef is you have to actually study at a school, and yeah, that was a big part of it. Part of the study was actually on food preparation and making sure you don't get food poisoning or give it to other people. It can be bad, very bad. So I hope you're feeling better soon. Helpwood says hydrate. Sounds like coffee time. It's always coffee time. Okay, we've got one more piece here which we need to reduce. So let's make a copy. Again, it's going to be a low-res version. Again, I'm just waiting for Max. Okay, so we're going to do a poly crunch again. Keep textures, keep normals, and calculate, and wait for Max to finish calculating. Sniper Girl says, cook some chicken Alfredo. Had pre-cooked chicken. Oh, I did of course heat the chicken up to being hot, but shortly after I felt it wasn't good. You be really careful, guys and girls. If you're preparing or eating chicken, make sure it's properly cooked. Chicken is notorious. Even down to if you're cutting up raw chicken on like a bench or a board, you make sure you thoroughly clean that bench or that board before you cut anything else up where that chicken was. Chicken is one of the worst things for food poisoning. It's so easy to actually get sick from improperly cooked chicken. Never, ever, ever eat chicken if it's pink. Unless it's completely cooked, do not eat it. You will get sick. Yeah, be very careful with chicken. Hey Sniper Echo, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you? What you been up to? Did you have a good weekend? Done anything interesting? Seen any good movies? Sniper Girl says, to make matters worse, I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I had the same chicken Alfredo for lunch, feeling fine, and it was around 2, going to throw it in the... Do not eat that chicken. That chicken is bad. Throw it away, Sniper Girl. Yeah, be really careful with chicken, guys. Really, really, really careful. I mean, I love chicken, don't get me wrong. I love poultry. But make sure it's cooked properly. And don't, like I said, if you're cutting up raw chicken, make sure you thoroughly clean that chopping board or that bench top before you cut anything else up on that spot. Because it's really, really easy to get food poisoning from chicken. Sniper Echo says, hey, OFFS, which I won't decrypt for those younger guys and girls watching. Sniper Echo says, Phil, how? I'm doing really well. No, I'm good. Yep, good. Can't complain. Feeling good. Fully vaccinated, so I'm feeling good. I had a sore arm for a couple of days though, I have to admit. After I had the vaccine, the second shot, my arm was sorer than the first shot. But it only lasted a couple of days. It just, it's a bit uncomfortable when you've got to, because I lie on my side when I sleep, and yeah, I generally lie on my left side, and I had the shot in my left arm because I needed to use this arm for my mouse and for my keyboard. So I had them give it to me in the left, and that sort of affected me when I slept then because I tend to sleep on my left side. So. But I'm doing good apart from that. Helpful, and I'm fine now. That was weeks ago. I had the second shot. Helpwood says, before I forget again, to Sniper Echo, I saw they added more military vehicle stuff on the Epic Marketplace. Oh, in the free tab. I have to check that out. I keep forgetting to check out the free stuff on Epic. Because whether I use it or not, I want it. Because it's free. Does that make me a bad person? No, they're giving it away. Sniper Echo says, nice one. Smurf says, definitely ghosts in that chicken. Yes. Sniper Girl says, I know, not going to go with round, thank God, with round 3. No freaking, thanks. I probably lost a couple of pounds today. Yeah, throw that chicken away. Throw it away. Do not eat it. Bad chicken. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, this piece is nearly 9 million polygons before we did the reduction on it. So that's the reason that Max is a little slow. Okay, we're going to do a collapse, and then we're going to throw another poly crunch, and we're going to go down to 50% this time. So we've already taken it from 100% to 1% of the polygons. Now we're doing it again down to 50% of that 1%. And we're going to move that. We're going to throw our weighted normals down and turn on by edge face, and then collapse the stack. And I think we have all the pieces we need for the fence now. We still have to actually do some sort of decorative piece for the top of the fence, but we'll do that in a minute. I've got to decide now whether we're going to be taking any of these pieces into Substance Painter to do an overpaint on. Don't know. Sniper Echo says, any of you find people know a tool in Max Maya that you can use to relax paint normals? There is a relax tool built into Max. It should work on the normals as well as the polys. I can show you in a second when Max comes back. It's in the under the edit poly. You can use that. I mean, it's probably not exactly what you're after, but the relax tool in that does affect the normal. Helpwood says there's no reason not to get it, it's free. What are we talking about? What's free? Oh, that's right, the stuff from Epic Games, that's right. No reason not to get it, it is free. I'm just going to do a, did I save that out? What was I waiting for? Yeah, I think I saved it out, didn't I? Yeah, so if, let's just use, I don't know, let's use a sphere. Whoa. Hang on, Max might not have been completely finished. Don't you crash on me, Max. Oh, there we go. Let's try that again. Max is being Maxi. Let me go to the top viewport. There we go. So we're just going to add a sphere so I can turn it into an edit poly. And under the paint deformation right at the very bottom, you have what they call relax. Now that will affect the normals on whatever the object is. Now that's the only tool that I know of inside of Max to do it. I don't even really know of any plugins to actually paint normals, because I don't believe that the edit normal gives you the ability to paint. No, which is unfortunate, because it would actually be a really good option to have. But yeah, there is that tool. That's the only one that I'm aware of. The relax tool here will actually affect the normal of the poly or of the try. But aside from that, I'm not really, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else that would. There must be a plugin though, I'm sure. I'm surprised that Autodesk haven't added it to the edit normal, because it would be really useful. That's really the only tool I'm aware of. And it's a very sort of like a rough tool to use. It's not, you can't get fine-tune control of it. Sniper Echo says, true that, Hellford. Smurf says, Marmoset is the only tool I'm aware of that lets you paint. Oh, well, there you go, Marmoset. I actually did install Marmoset. It is installed now on my computer. You probably won't see because it's behind. Oh no, there we go. I keep forgetting now that Windows is in the middle. I did install Marmoset. So I haven't played with it much, but it is installed. So. Sniper Girl says to Hellforge, yep, true there. Also, it's good to see how they do things. Hellforge says, losing pounds as an American equals hype, losing pounds as a Brit. And Sniper Echo says to Smurf, right, thanks, I'll try that. Yep. I actually can see, like I said, I haven't used Marmoset yet, but I can see why you guys like it for your normal baking, because I really like the fact that you can do a lot of manipulation with the cage and stuff inside of Marmoset when you do a bake out. It is very cool. The interactivity is really cool as well. So I can see why you guys like Marmoset for doing bakes. Smurf says, Maya might have something like that in one of its paint tools, but I've never played around with that. It's been a long time. Sniper Girl says to Hellforge, yeah, losing pounds in the US is like that as long as it's not all at once. I'm so freaking tired. If you're tired, girl, go to bed. If you're not well and you're feeling tired, go to bed. Smurf says, like something to set normal angle with a brush. Not as comprehensive as Toolbag. Sniper Girl says, what's good is my work is very understanding, said that I can take tomorrow off if needed. Oh, that's good of them. Assuming I sleep well, I hope to work tomorrow. But it's nice to know I have the option if to miss it if needed. That is good of them, yeah. Sniper says, gotcha. Phil, what are the holes in the edges of the mesh for? Oh, it's because we've repurposed meshes that are not meant to be used as fences. That's what the holes are for. These are... Well, we actually made these from pieces that are meant to go on the side of a building. It's like trim for the top of roofs and facades for buildings. We're repurposing that into fence. So basically that's what the holes are there for, because I repurposed facades into fences. No other reason. Just the way it worked out, because the meshes weren't made to be fences. Because you guys asked me because you see me UVing and texture painting quite a lot on Twitch, but you wanted to see some stuff as to how I actually put stuff together. So that's what these streams are for. I thought for the fences, probably a really good opportunity for me to show you guys how I'd actually make an asset, as opposed to just UV mapping and texturing one. Smurf says, next month Phil might even open Toolbag. Sniper Girl says he installed Marmoset. Yes, I did. Hell froze over. Dies from shock. Well, I had to see what all the fuss was about. You guys wax lyrical and love Marmoset, so... And I haven't used Marmoset for many years, so I thought, oh well, let's see what all the fuss is about. And even though I have not used it yet, I've installed it. I only installed it a few days ago. I have watched a couple of videos on the Marmoset website, and I do see the appeal to doing the bakeouts because of the control you get over the high and the low res cage. It does look very cool. The reason I tend to use Substance Painter to do my bakeouts is because I use the program to do my texturing, and I'm not going to be switching to Marmoset to do my texturing. I'm going to stick to Painter because I like Painter. Marmoset I know can do texture painting like Substance Painter can as well. But yeah, I don't want to install gigabytes upon gigabytes of texture materials for Marmoset when I know I'm not going to use Marmoset to texture. So I've installed the base program. I haven't downloaded the libraries that you download from Marmoset because they're multiple gigabytes worth. I think it's about 30 gigabyte file to install all of the materials and stuff for Marmoset. Which is, look, Marmoset is a really reasonably priced program, and I don't know how good the painting tools are, but for the price and the fact that they give you so many materials you can download for free, that's all a plus. That's good. But I do prefer using Painter. So I won't be doing any texturing work in Marmoset. If I use Marmoset, it will only be for texture baking from a high to a low, which is why I haven't installed it before, because I thought it's a bit of a waste just to use it for texture for high res baking. But yeah. Helpwood says I'm a bit chilly, but not frozen. Helpwood says and paint out skewed, yeah, painting out the skewed bakes. That looked really interesting as well. Bakes as well, so you don't have to add extra geometry to correct the mesh. Yeah, that did look really cool. I like the fact that you can manipulate the cage. Really applying control over manipulation of a cage size, and yeah, painting out the perpendicular stuff with the bakes. That was really cool as well. Helpwood says, "I'll toss it into Photoshop and nudge brush the skewed." Sniper Girl says it's going on 7:40 p.m. and I slept a lot today. If I sleep now, I'm not going to sleep later on tonight. Well, fair enough. And I'm the same actually. I tend to get tired after I have lunch. I don't know about you guys, but I'm an old man, so after I eat lunch, I feel tired. So sometimes I'll have a nap for like an hour. But I find if I sleep longer than an hour for my nap, my mid-afternoon siesta, I can't sleep then later at night. Like generally I'll work until 2 or 3 in the morning anyway. But I find if I sleep for longer than an hour during the day after lunch, then I'm probably up until 6 in the morning. I just can't fall asleep. So I get where you're coming from, I'm saying. And it's, yeah, after lunch though, I get so tired after lunch. And I generally have lunch after I've streamed to you guys, so I have like a late lunch. Because it's daytime where I am. In case you couldn't tell because of all the bright light. Helpwood says, yeah, it's really interesting to how... Hang on. It's really interesting to know really interesting to how you model and create the assets. To see how. Okay. Yeah, again, that's why I thought I do it on live on stream so you guys can get an idea of how I work if I'm making something new, as opposed to just UV mapping and texturing it. Like I generally don't do this sort of stuff on stream because I think it's boring for you guys. I know watching me UV map is not very exciting either, but generally the texturing stuff is what I do because I think it's probably the most interesting part of people watching, to see me texturing something up. Yeah. But anyway, I'm happy to show you guys how I do it here on stream. That's generally why I haven't in the past though, because I just thought you guys might find it boring. Helpwood says, in portfolio renders, your ArtStation is... Yes, I know, I have to update my ArtStation. I haven't done that for over a year and a half. I really, really must go through my portfolio and update some stuff on ArtStation. The same with my website. I haven't updated that for a while either. Elfwood says, I too am an old man. At least that's how my back feels when I try to get out of bed in the morning. Well, I'm sure I'm older than you. I'm sure I'm older than most of you. Smurf says, Phil just doesn't want us to watch him play with virtual Lego. Well, again, there are so many different ways to model something. Some people like to start with a cube and then manipulate the verts and, you know, do it that way. I'm more of a Lego type person when I'm modeling. I tend to put bits together to make something. Yeah, that's the other good thing about 3D though. It's so, like I said, so many ways to do the same, to get to the same end result. There are so many ways to do it. And the way I show you is my way. I don't suggest it's the best way or the only way. So everybody has their own workflow. That's fine. It's the end result that matters. Healthwood says, I'm sure you're older than all of us combined. Thank you very much. Yes, you're going to get a full slap for that. How rude. And that's going to be for Sniper Girl too before she pops in and says anything. I would not be older than all of your ages combined, I can tell you that right now. I can't remember if I saved this or not, so I'm going to save it again, and while it's saving out, I'm going to decide whether we're going to do an overpaint inside a substance painter. Will we, won't we, will we, won't we? I'm not sure. Now, what says worth it? Copy. Yes, I can have a copy while it saves out. I'm pretty sure we did save it, but it doesn't hurt to save it again. Oh, did I get a slap from another mod slap? Back to you. Well, you're going to get a stink eye. I do like those little Despicable Me characters, they're so cute. Smurf says, Thanksgiving slap fight. God bless us, everyone. Actually, it's Thanksgiving is soon for you guys in the US, isn't it? Of course, we don't celebrate it here because it's a US specific thing. But it's the end of this month, isn't it? Thanksgiving for the US, for you US guys, because you have Black Friday and Cyber Monday or whatever they call it. Those sales come right after Thanksgiving. Sniper Girl says, you need one where you poke a person in the eye. Healthwood says, seeing your texturing work is great too, and I picked up a bunch of tips and tricks for working with wood materials. Well, thank you, Healthwood. You will see me working with wood again very soon, because we're going to, once we've done these bits and pieces for the outside first landscape, we're going to be jumping back into the building again at some stage, because we have to do the basement. And I will have some wooden furniture down in the basement. So it's mainly a lot of stone down there, but there will be some wood as well. I've already blocked out how the design for the basement, and I already have a few of the assets done and ready. But there will be some furniture and things that we have to texture up. Wine racks. I know that we have to do wine racks, if nothing else, and they're going to be wooden wine racks for the basement. So, because I want to cover the walls with wine racks, wine bottles, because I think it would look cool. That's what basements are for, isn't it? Not mine, because I don't have a basement, but don't you fill them up with wine? Smurf says, yeah, it's like the 24th or something for Thanksgiving. But I'm glad you've got something out of my streams, Hellforge. I hope everyone that does get something. Yeah, I want you guys to do 3D, and if I can help you guys do 3D, then my job on Twitch is done. And encourage you guys to do 3D as well, because it's fun. Sniper Girl says, next week, Thursday, have the entire week off. Oh, half your luck. All these people having time off. I'm so jealous. There's Euro. He's already on holidays until mid-January or something. I can't wait to go on holiday. I'm actually going to go back up because the borders are opening up again, the interstate borders in Australia, because everyone's getting vaccinated now. So I can finally go and see my brother and sister, because I haven't seen them for a couple of years. My sister lives in Queensland and my brother lives in New South Wales, and I live in Victoria. So it'll be good to catch up with them and just have a break. Just a break. Phil's a bit tired. Phil's always tired because Phil's old. Helpwood says, if I had a basement, I'd fill it with music studio gear. Yeah, I probably would not fill my basement with wine either. Because I don't drink. You guys know that. Like, not very much anyway. So yeah, a bit wasted having a wine cellar on me. But it'll be good for the game. It'll look cool for the game. Because we actually have a couple that we've got the basement to do, and then we've got a stairway to do in the basement, and then we've got an elevator room to do, and they're all down underground. We haven't put those in the game yet, so we've still got to do all that work for the and that will finish the actual building. And then the stuff we're doing now is for the first landscape, which will be almost done once we do the fence section. All I have to do then is to bring in a model I've already created, an Art Deco entryway, and then actually we have to design a connecting corridor. But then that's the first landscape done once we put it into the engine. And then we have the third landscape. But again, the third landscape, all of the pieces are modelled, mostly modelled, that we're going to be using. And the only thing I've already designed the crypt, the large crypt. The only thing I have left to do is to design the smaller crypt. So, yeah. We're getting there. So much work. There's so much stuff to do for a game. There really is. We had a problem actually recently with Windows 11 with the game. We compiled the build, and when we went to run it, it ran fine. The game was running without a problem. Everything was cool, copacetic, except when you exited the game. As soon as you exited the menu, a fatal error popped up in Windows, and that took like weeks to work out what the hell was going on there. Doesn't happen under Windows 10, only happens under Windows 11. We managed to fix that, but yeah, there's these little problems that crop up that really are time sinks that you don't sort of take into account when you're thinking about how long something's going to take you to do. And it ended up being a problem with Windows 11 because they updated the SDK sort of thing for Windows 11, Microsoft. That caused a fatal error. It was a memory access violation, so basically the game was trying to write to a part of memory it didn't have permission to write to. And that was a change that was brought about by Windows 11, by Microsoft. Snappy Girl says, sounds like you. Hellforge says, I'm about Hellforge and filling it with music. Hellforge says, I'm unemployed, so I have every day off. Snappy Girl says, would likely end up making a movie theatre if I have one. Would you put it in the basement though? I guess why not? Hellforge says, rock and stone is a type of material I haven't done yet. Okay, and I got some ideas for environment pieces that would use it. Well, we're going to, a lot of the basement is stone, but there will be some wood as well. But I've already actually made a lot of pieces of the stone stuff, unfortunately. But we may take these pieces into Substance Painter and see if we can do an overpaint. I'm just trying to decide whether they need it or not. Hellforge says, so I'll have to do that at some point. Android Dust says, Windows 11 broken. There is a new update coming out in about a week for Windows 11. We just had the cumulative update, which is like the second Tuesday of every month. Windows 10 and Windows 11 get the cumulative update. There is another update due to be released, I believe, next week for Windows 11. That's supposed to fix like 70 bugs in the software. Now, I have not had a problem with Windows 11 really. Generally, it's been pretty good. All the software that I have works. Generally, it's fine. We did have that problem with the game though, like I said. And other people have had other problems with Windows 11, but I haven't experienced those problems. So, and I do like Windows 11. That was the other reason that I decided to install it, was because we need to test the game on Windows 11, because some people will have Windows 11 that want to play the game. So, not you guys and girls, though, I know, and particularly not Smurfberry. he ain't going to be updating to Windows 11. Helpwood says, heavily inspired by this. Let's check it out. So are we talking stonework here? What are we talking? Oh, this is not stone, this is metal. Luke Dixon, Junior Environment Artist at Cloud Imperium Games. Star Citizen stuff, okay. Yeah, it's nice work, very nice work actually. Yeah, it does, it looks really cool. I see he's got some stone stuff going on here. Yeah, lovely work. Very nice work. Well done, Luke. My only critique of this would be I can't fault the modelling, I can't fault the environment layout work. The texturing from what I can see looks really well done as well. My only criticism or critique of this would be, these three are cool. Just down here, when we start to see these, it all looks a bit brown. Now again, it's underground, I guess, so... But it's just looking a little brown to me. I'd try and introduce a bit more colour somewhere. But again, I don't know what his brief was, so... He may be working to concept art where that was the look they were going for. Like here, this is cool, where he's got reds and he's got greens to help break up the brown. These ones just are looking very brown. Brown and yellow. But beautiful work. Beautiful texturing, nice environment design work. Everything's really sweet. So yeah, beautiful work. Sniper Girl says, yeah, of course the basement would have less light to have to, well, that's true, to worry about. Should be easy to add noise deadening on the walls and roof. Well, that's very true. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, no, good point. Good point. Setting up a cinema room in the basement. A lot of Australian homes don't have basements though. I know a lot of European and American homes do, but Australians, we don't tend to put basements in. Hellboy says, I shot up a space station to get arrested just so I could go to prison and collect reference pictures. Oh, so you shut up a space station to get arrested so you could go to prison so you could collect reference pictures. Then Star Citizen. Smurf says, I've got at least 3 or 4 years before 10 is end of life, Windows 10. Yeah, no, everyone can look. 3 of my machines are going to stay on Windows 10. It's only 2 of them I'm upgrading to 11. One of them I've already done. I still haven't done my my Steam stream machine yet, my Twitch stream machine, but we'll do that at some stage. There's no rush though. Sniper Girl says that's awesome looking about those pictures. Smurf says even then I've never been hit by any of the malware going around, and I don't expect to change. Yeah, look, as long as you run, Windows Defender does a very good job keeping your computer safe. You don't need to install hundreds of different virus software. So long as you're careful and you don't download dodgy things from dodgy places, you're generally okay. Helpwood says it's also a prison. If you commit crimes in the game, you get sent there. Oh, okay. Helpwood says you can do some labour to reduce your time you spend there. Okay. Helpwood says I shot a space station and had to spend 20 minutes there. Got shanked in the back while mining? Oh no! Star Citizen must have come a long way since the last time I looked at it. Sounds like there's a lot more in the game now, which is good. Because it's been in development for what, 10 years? Now Sniper Girl says to Smurf, yeah, same, no rush for 11. Sniper, okay. Rename Card. Hey, Rename Card. It's good to see you. I hope you had a good weekend. Rename Card says, hey, how's it going? I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. Yeah, no, I'm good. I had a good weekend. I saw the new James Bond movie. It was okay. It wasn't one of the best James Bonds I've seen, but it was alright. Had lots of action, which is what we all want from a James Bond movie. Sniper Girl says, are you going to eventually do 3D work tonight, or are you going to talk for the rest of the stream? I don't mind, it's just that stream. YouTube might complain. Yes, no, we are. Look, I did some work. I'm going to be doing some more work. Rename Card says, good to hear. I hope you're doing well too, Rename Card. Are you well? Sniper Girl says, hi. Now, I've got to decide whether we're going to do a paint over on these. I don't know that they really need... well, my only hesitancy about doing a paint over is, again, we're going to be reusing these sections to make the fence. And if we paint over it so it's too unique looking, the player is going to know that we're reusing the same texture over and over again. So I think what we might do at this stage is, what we might do is, we're not going to do a paint over at the moment. We're going to bring the low res versions into the file we have for the actual gate, so that we can start playing around with how these pieces are going to go together and what they're going to look like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save out just the low res versions, because the high res are in the back there. So save selected. Gate fence, so we're going to call this low res fence section. Okay, so now I'm going to open up the gate that we were working on. No, I saved it, so I don't need to save it again. The rename card's good, that's good to hear. Sniper Girl says 5 seconds of work by pressing one button to get it to reduce poly, and an hour of talking. Sniper Girl says, I missed a stream last week. Yes, I know. Did Phil behave, or was he talking? No, I was good. We finished the gate. Well, I was good. Again, I'm not using physical based textures here, so the gate doesn't look quite right, because it doesn't have the normal and it doesn't have the roughness or the metallic. It's just got the diffuse map. So this is just so that we can get an idea of what the gate looks like as we start to create our fence line. Elfwood says, you say that, but there are elected politicians that do less than that and earn more. What's this link, Elfwood, here? What's this ArtStation link? Let's have a look. YouTube are tearing their hair out now, saying, when's he going to continue working? Oh, this is more Star Citizen. This is Brandon Lamb, environment artist at Cloud Imperium Games. Pardon me. Nice. Yeah, some nice detailing work here. Nice texturing work as well. See, this I like more because there's a bit more colour being introduced here. It's not so brown. So is Star Citizen a good game to play now? I've sort of gone off Space Sim stuff. I haven't even played Elite for a long time. No. Yeah, some beautiful texturing and environment work here. Really nice. Modelling destruction is always fun. It's probably one of the most fun things to model in texture is destroyed things. Yeah, really nice. Nice work. Beautiful work. Really nice lighting as well. Yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely work. Sniper Echo says, so I have a guy that's exporting his meshes with 2 degrees of precision, and oddly enough, the triangulation of the mesh in Unreal and every other piece of software known to man makes the normals horrible. Nanite problems. Hashtag nanite problems. Smurf says, brah. Jizan! Hey Jizan, it's good to see you. Did you have a good weekend? I hope you're well. It's always good to see you, Jizan. Now, Snappy Girl says, so after a decade and millions upon millions of dollars, it's actually a game now? This is Star Citizen we're talking about. Alfred says, it's also really hard to get looking good. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bring in the low-res versions of the fence as a merge. Low-res fence sections, that's what we want. And we want all of those pieces. Okay. We want to scale them down so they're more in line with the size of the fence. Let's just move them back as well. So I can get a better idea of whether they're what the size is like. Okay. How do I want to do this? I'm going to pull this over so that this post is sort of like near this one. You get an idea of how high I need to go. Now, I have to sort of, as we do this, I've got to think gameplay. And I'm actually thinking, what? Let me catch up with the chat. Upward says, model destruction, it's so easy to make it look fake. Yeah, it is. Destruction is cool to model and difficult to model. It's harder than it looks. Jizan says, hello. Snappy Girl says, yeah, so true there. Jizan says, I think I'm able to show a bit from my last project, but I still can't post the entire creation till full release. Pop it in the Discord in the gallery, Jizan. We want to check it out. Oh, he popped a link in. We'll check that out toward the end of the stream here. Oh, I've got to check it out now. I can't wait. Oh no, this is a LinkedIn thing. I don't log into LinkedIn. I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, no, I can't log into LinkedIn, I'm afraid. So you guys that can log into LinkedIn, check that link that Jazam posted in the Discord. Sniper Echo says, hey, Jazam says, yeah, they only posted to LinkedIn. Yeah, sorry, I can't, I don't have a LinkedIn account. I closed my account years ago and I refused to get another one. But you guys should definitely check it out if you have a LinkedIn account. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to no, yeah, that's what I was saying. Now I've got to think for gameplay here. Now I'm thinking we actually have to add Ivy to these as well. I'm thinking in the game when the player gets to the gate is going to be locked, so they're not going to be able to open the gate. I think it would be more interesting to have the player have to go around the fence line and find a section of the fence that's damaged that they can then jump over to get into the grounds. What do you guys think? Or do you think you should just be able to walk straight up to the gate and open it up? What's the general consensus here? Walk straight up to the gate, open it, or have to walk around the fence line to find a section that you can get through? I just thought it might make it more interesting for the player if they have to work a little bit to get in there. Well, work as in, you know, walk around the fence line to find a gap that you can get through. Andrew Loss says, what's wrong with LinkedIn? Nothing. I had a LinkedIn account for many, many years. I closed my account down when Microsoft bought LinkedIn. Not because I don't like Microsoft. The reason I closed my LinkedIn account was I was getting too much spam from people, I guess is the best way to say it. Like, people would contact you pretending to be a certain company or just general spam. They contact you and try and sell you something, or it was just more hassle than it was worth, basically. That and the fact too that I don't spam my resume. So basically I didn't like having companies I'd previously worked for visible on my LinkedIn account. That's the whole point of LinkedIn. But I think that's a security risk. So I didn't like LinkedIn from that point of view either. Particularly nowadays when there's so much targeted ransomware and malware and all other sorts of stuff going around in the world. Limiting the amount of information people know about you is a good thing. So that was the other reason I decided to close the account. Those are private details that are in my resume, and I will only give to people who either approach me or I approach for work. I don't want to broadcast it to the general sundry of the internet because it's too big a security risk. So that was the other reason I closed the account. And it was a major pain getting them to close it. Let me tell you, they did not want to close it. This is LinkedIn. LinkedIn did not want to close it. Crosswind. Hey, Crosswind says LinkedIn blows. I hope you had a good weekend, Crosswind. Good to see you. Elfwood says blows in a good or bad way. Sniper Erica says LinkedIn is the ZBrush of social networks. Am I right, Phil? You are completely right. It is. It's the ZBrush of the social network. Actually, Facebook is, but all social media is evil. A Sniper Girl says to Android Lust, good question. LinkedIn is old and Phil's old. You'd think he'd love it. Well, I did have a LinkedIn account for many years. Before everybody else started getting a LinkedIn account. And then once everybody else had one, then it's time to move on. I was a trendsetter. Smurf says, I'd open the gate, but I'm kind of boring. Okay. Smurf says, fence hole might be better. I just thought, yeah, if they get to the gate and they can't get in, making them have to move around the fence line to try and find a way in might be more interesting for them. I don't know. Or is it just annoying? Sniper Echo says, Phil, you know how we don't have a bathroom? You do have a bathroom and toilet in the house. Can we compromise and have an outhouse? You have a bathroom. You have a toilet. You have a kitchen. You have a bedroom. You even have an outhouse. If you'd seen my streams from a few weeks ago, we were working on the outhouse. So you got an outhouse. No excuse. If you're caught out in the forest, you can go to the outhouse. Don't have to go all the way back to the building. But you've got a gold-plated toilet even. And you have a kitchen. So no excuses. Helpwood says, keep it locked with a chain and padlock. Let the players find a key in the bush to open the gate. That's an option. We can do that. Android Lust says, walk around. Is it possible for a gate like that to be too rusted to properly open? Well, that's a good point as well. We are going to have ivy growing on it, but we could do Hellforge's chain and lock and key, or we could make it just so it can't be opened and they've got to go around the fence line to find a way in. They're all options. I've sort of got to nail that down before we start designing the placing them in the landscape in the game engine though. Sniper Girl says he skipped my post. What was your post? Never mind, he's sorry? Oh, good. I read it line by line. It's very unusual for me to miss somebody saying something. Alford says hipster, hashtag hipster. Alford says, but do we have friendship? What are we talking about? Sniper Echo says, when did we get a bathroom? We got a bathroom ages ago, dude. I've even got a development video on the game's on the game's YouTube channel. I will prove it to you. How do I get to the game? Let's go here. And then we're going to go... Where are my links? Here, maybe out of the news. Here. Look. This is my video, so I can actually play it without getting a copyright problem. Now this is the dev video of the bathroom being made. You'll get a shot of the complete bathroom once we get to the end of the video, and it's not very long, I don't believe. No, minute and a half. I know it does go by very quickly though, I'm afraid. Camera's moving around like a wild thing. So this was the bathroom actually being created, Sniper Echo. Sniper Girl says to Hellforge, nope, sorry. Android Lust says, outhouse is occupied. It is occupied. Yes, you can't actually use the outhouse. I forgot about that. Sniper Girl says, I see dumpster fires with that emote. It does look like a dumpster fire. Sniper Echo says, that was an outhouse I saw on stream. There is music to this as well. This track was actually composed by a French composer. He lives in France. Composed the music you hear here for the game. It's one of the interior music pieces as you walk around the inside of the building. So there you go. You got a bathroom. Come on. Sniper says, easy Phil, I'm Jay. Oh, okay. Smurf says, triggered. Yes, triggered. Hellboy says, brutal looking bathtub. Sniper Echo says, I guess I'm finally going to be banned. You're going to get a Phil slap though. You need a Phil slap. Snappy Girl says, I would love a tub like, I would too, love a tub like that. Something that nice and deep. It looks more like a small pool. Yes, I'd love that bathtub as well. I love the house. I mean, the house is really interesting. I could never afford to live in that house that we're making for this game. Snappy Girl says a French composer lives in Paris actually, man. Yes. He used to work for who did he used to work for? Ubisoft. He used to work for Ubisoft. Phil didn't think that would work out that way. Helpwood says you can never know what with the French, they're holding a sizable part of Canada as well. They are. Okay, so let's see if we can't do something with this fence line here. Well, to begin with, we need this post to be bigger. So we're going to scale the post up. And I need to scale it up so that when it sits beside here, we're not intersecting our urn. So that should be good. That should be fine. That will work. So we're going to have a post either side of the fence. Either side of the metal post anyway. Let's just bring that in a bit. I'm only doing this in Mac so I can get an idea of the design so that when we bring it into the game engine, I'm not working blind. I know the sort of like layout that we're going to be using. Okay, so now the other fence pieces. We still have to do something with the top of the fence line here, but let's just get the design worked out first. Let's start with this round part, I think. Actually, do I want to scale these up? Maybe not. Maybe not. Helpwood says, and had their claws in parts of southern US. Helpwood says, Cajun is bloody impossible to understand. Sniper Girl says, well, that would be a Canadian composer, not a French, right? French is French, Helpwood said. Helpwood says, copy and save as well. Yes, let's do a save and I'll have a copy and then we can continue. Sniper Girl says, huge difference between French as in people that live in France and people in Canada that speak French. They're still Canadians. Okay, so let's start with this half circle piece here. I think it would be interesting if we sort of like, let's just move these out of the way so we're not getting distracted. I think it would be interesting here if you approach the gate that we have like a curved entryway, because curves always look cool. So let's move this curved piece. Let's rotate it. Maybe like that. And we're going to start sort of designing the fence line. So we'll start by pulling the wall into the post. And we're going to duplicate that for the other side. Again, I'm doing this inside of Mac so I can get the layout worked out. And then from there, we can probably start using this smaller post. So let's bring that over here. And duplicate it for the other side. Okay, and then from there we can go to probably a long section. Helpwood says only difference is that French Canadians just add a at the end. Or maybe may or may not be true. Sniper Girl says my mum is French Canadian. Oh really? Andrew Dust says possibly true. I wouldn't mind living in Canada. Canada looks lovely. Andrew Lust says possibly true. Sniper Girl says thinking the A is just a stereotype. Yeah, Andrew Dust says it is. What's this? What's this JPEG you posted here? Let me have a look. Hellforge. Gravity is the most fundamental force in the universe. What would happen if you took it away? You'd have nothing left but gravy. Okay, let's bring our long section in here now. Okay, let's duplicate that for the other side. Alright, so this is like the entry part for the gate. I think from here what we might do is we might start to curve back again. So let's take this piece. What we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the short post again. We haven't finished with I'm just getting the fence base outline done, and then we're going to work on the top of it. This is not the fence in its entirety, this is just the base for the fence. And then we're going to duplicate this one for the other side. Snappy Girl says, afraid to look at the link. Cheesy. Mercury says it's a fence for stopping tortoises. What do you mean? I don't get it. That's right. Fence for stopping tortoises. No, we're not finished with the fence, Smirkberry. Don't question me. Okay. So from there, I think we will probably go to another tall pillar, because now we're pretty much back in line. And then we want one over the other side. And then from there, we will probably, because remember, we're going to have like a drive, I think a circular drive here. So you come through, there'll be like a circular driveway. Maybe a fountain in the middle, but I haven't designed a fountain, so maybe not. And there's going to be like a deco entryway here. So if we have the driveway there, I guess we could probably, let me just put a circle in so I can get an idea of my design here. So I'm just going to use a cylinder, make it to about the size we want it. Probably like that. And we don't want the height to be that high. Again, this is just so I can sort of get an idea of where the driveway is, really, more than anything. It's going to be, I think it'll be like, we'll have like paved stone or something there. So we can say that's like the drive. Might be a bit big. Yeah, let's bring it in a little bit. Maybe like that. So yeah, that's like the drive section, where the car would be, like the car will be over here sort of thing. And we'll have an entryway here, a deco entry. So we want our fence line to sort of like, maybe. I guess we can go We can go straight, then we can come out again. Sniper Girl says, link I posted in Discord does have copyright music. Can watch it after the stream. Oh, that looks very funny. Jaws Kitty. Claws. Jaws Owl Kitty parody. Oh, I gotta watch it. That looks so fun. I gotta check it out now. I'll turn the audio off. Will we ruin it by having no audio, Sniper Girl? If we check it out without audio? Considering it does have copyright music in it? Probably not the same without the audio, hey? Oh, that was very funny. Anything with cats in it's always good. Can't get enough cats. I love kitty cats. Andrew Love says to help boys, moose are wonderful animals. Glad there isn't anywhere I live. Sniper Girl says, your fault. First thing I thought of when you posted the image to Hellforge. She says, yeah, not the same. People have way too much time on their hands and I love them for it. I'll check it out again though after the stream so I can hear the music as well. Because I'm sure that goes a long way to the visuals. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to copy. Before I start doing this actually, what we're going to do is we're going to start working on the rest of the fence here. That way when I copy and paste it'll be ready. So I'm going to go into the front viewport. We have to remember our head will be, a person standing in front of the gate, their head's probably about there, sort of thing, about that high. So we don't want a fence where someone can just sort of like jump over it. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to, again, I have no idea for design because I'm just sort of like making it up as we go along. That's the most fun. We're going to copy this post, I think, and now, yeah, I had forgotten that these posts do have like these brackets on them which hold the gate, which is unfortunate because I really don't want them. I just want the post. Now, I don't know that there's any way we can really hide it without it being odd. We have a couple of options. We can either not worry about it and see if we may be able to hide it once we start bringing in other pieces from the gate. That might be an option. But I don't want the fence line to be quite that high, so I'm going to scale it back. If we can't hide it, then what I can do is I can just remove those pieces. We can save this out as a separate mesh, but we can still use the same texture, so we can get around it that way. So we're going to bring it down. I think. It's easier for me to look at it in the front viewport. I'm sort of like trying to gauge sizing here. I think. We might bring it down even more. And then we can duplicate that there. Okay, let's start copying some bits and pieces now. So I'm going to duplicate. We'll start with this gate. Doesn't really matter which gate. They are textured differently though, so we're going to duplicate it. I'm going to start separating it up. So that, and we'll take these as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start breaking the gate apart so that we can use the bits and pieces to create a new fence line. This is good because what it means is we can reuse the same texture. We don't have to make a new texture, and we can just reuse the assets that we are using for the gate. Which is good too because it keeps everything nice and consistent and makes it look as if it's meant to be part of the fence. So we're going to detach that. We are going to, let's detach these bits as well. I forgot that there were two sides to this, and I bet I forgot to detach the other side. Anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. Yeah, you see we have two sides, so the outside border we're going to have to go back and detach the other side. I did forget about it. Once we have the pieces detached though, it'll make our life much easier. That's my phone going off. So we'll probably also want to take these. Okay, let's detach that. Let's do the border on the outside before I forget. Okay, let's detach that. Healthwood says, seen a few of those in real life. They're also super tasty. He's talking about moose. Oh no, don't eat the moose. Healthwood says, yeah. Andrew Dust says, I didn't know people ate them. I didn't either. Snappy Girl says, people will eat anything, including other people, but that's called cannibalism. Yeah, you don't eat other people. That's not good. You don't want to go eating other people. Bad. I'm just going to attach the two outside sections together. So this one and this one. I'm just going to go into isolation mode so I can attach them. Attach. Okay, what I'm going to do here too is I'm going to split this, I think. So let's run it at poly. We want to quick slice. We want to select, and we want to add a slice plane. Rotate it around. I'm going to slice it. Just want to bring the slice plane in as close as I can without actually intersecting the mesh. That should be fine. And let's slice and bring it over to this side. I'm doing this so we can split them up into their pieces. It'll make it easier for us to work with them. And slice. Now, why did you not slice correctly? We sliced it there. Oh, I know why, because I'm in the wrong mode. That would help. Let's remove these, remove these, remove these. Let's detach that piece. Let's select this piece, deselect these pieces. And detach that. I'm just going to reset the pivot on a few of these pieces. Okay. All right. Now, so we have that piece, that piece, that piece, that piece. We want to take probably, I'm just going to go into isolation mode here so it's easier for me just to concentrate on what we've got left. Looks like I may have forgotten a couple of pieces here. So let's select these. Go out of isolation mode. Let me just detach that. And we want to select both of those and attach. Do an attach list, object 5. Okay. So let's select what's left, go into isolation mode. And let's detach those. Again, I'm just looking at it so I can work out how I want to detach this to possibly reuse it. Smurf says, I saw an image this week and I'm not sure of the truthfulness of it, but it was like a tofu human meat for ethical cannibalism. Oh, yuck. Yuck. Elfwood says, I ate a fair bit of moose and venison when I was younger, as my grandfather was a hunter. So there was always wild game meat in the freezer. I haven't eaten moose. I've eaten venison, but not moose. Android Lost says, beyond human meat. Helford says, what's even the point to have vegan human meat? Seems like a very niche market. Copy and save, Helford says, I will save it in a minute. Android Lost says, cannibals can have morals too. Helford says, it seems like an odd hill to fight on, but who am I to judge? Android Lost, Sniper Girl says, if you say so. So let's detach. We might remove, oops, wrong one. Remove that. How am I going to do this? No, we might re-add that. Let's detach this piece. So what have we got left? Let's select these and these. And that. And attach that. Again, I just want to make sure I've got both sides selected. Yep. Oh, yep. Good. Let's detach that. And then that will leave this bit through here. So let's detach that. And so what's left now? Just the top piece and the side pieces. We don't need the handle or that. I don't know if I can really even use this. Let's detach it just in case. You never know. So we'll detach that, detach that. Looks like I might have forgotten 3 things here, so let's detach this. Select this. And detach that. And now I want that and that. Let's attach that. And let's start pulling these pieces apart. So let's just make sure our pivots are correct. Just make it easier for us to work with them. So we don't want any of that. We're not going to be using the B or the handle. Let's move these pieces out. Okay, so now we have our pieces of the gate. Let's start the design on the straight part. It'll be easier than working on the curved piece. So I think what we might do is copy this piece. Let's rotate it. Let's scale it. I'm just going to get rid of this little bit sticking out here that we don't want. Smurf says, I had a friend in high school, whose dad had a great deer jerky recipe. I miss it. I love jerky. Yum. Sniper Girl says, deer jerky is good. Helpwood says, proper jerky is great. Sniper Girl says, deer in general is wonderful. I would not disagree. Andrew thus says, I've never had deer. Ah, beautiful. Sniper Girl says, I haven't had it in a while. I think it's as a teenager when I had it. Helpwood says, forgetting things? Sounds like you need more coffee. Sniper Girl says to Helpwood, no, that's just a symptom of age. Helpwood says, I can't even remember what I had for dinner 3 hours ago. Smurf says, I had a burrito through. Oh, yum. I love burritos. Yum, 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 yum. I do like Mexican food. I like all food. Let's scale this up. We'll do a uniform scale to begin with. Again, I'm just trying to come up with a design we can use here. I have nothing in mind. I'm just playing around with bits and pieces until we come up with something that looks cool. Let's move this back. Make sure that it's inside of the posts, and it is. Pull it down. Okay, now let's take this. And we'll make a copy. And we'll pull it up. And let's duplicate it again. And then we'll move it over and scale it up. Needs to be just a little bit bigger. Sniper Girl says, I had soup. I'm hungry again. Good thing considering how today went. Yeah, make sure you don't eat anything too heavy, Sniper Girl. If you've got a bit of food poisoning, you don't want to be throwing up. Soup was a good idea because it's light. Helpwood says, except seafood. Android Lust says, seafood is the best. Helpwood says, I think Bill said he's allergic. I am allergic. I will swell up and not be able to breathe if I eat seafood. I can't eat seafood. Helpwood says, I do love seafood. Android Lust says, probably a shellfish allergy. It is. I have a shellfish allergy. I can eat fish. I can't eat shellfish. Snappy Girl says, still can't believe Bill is actually doing 3D work and not just texturing on his stream. The sign of the end of the world. Now we have to come up with some sort of design for the top here. So let's take this and duplicate it. Once we come up with the design, then it'll be quick for us to add it to the other sections. It's just coming up with the initial design that's more difficult. So what are we going to do here? Let's see. Might work. So let's scale this up a little bit. Let's make sure we're lined up correctly. I think we are. Let's duplicate this and mirror it and line it up here. Okay. Seeing what pieces I've got left to work with. Okay, and let's grab this piece here and duplicate it. Oh, well, what are you guys saying now? Hellforge says, I personally think it's great to see. I'm always learning something. I'm glad to hear that, Hellforge. Snappy Girl says, I agree, just a name like Phil Does 3D, you'd expect to see more of it. I mean, his name isn't Phil Does Textures. I thought it was Phil Does Just Chat. Isn't that what my name is, Snappy Girl? Because that's what I normally do, is just chat. So rude. You're also, she's so rude. The rest of you are fine, Snappy Girl's rude. Okay, let's see what we've got going on here. Let's scale this down so we can bring it in. We may scale it down even more. Let's duplicate it and mirror it. And select both of these and let's line them up. We're going to scale these in non-uniformly and scale it up. And then line it up. Let's check it in the top. Check it in 3D. We're going to bring it in just a little bit. And maybe bring it down just a little bit. And I think that should probably be okay for our gate sections. That'll stop people getting in. It's detailed enough, but I'm just going to move these other pieces out of the way so they're not distracting. just going to move them over there. Well, we're getting there, guys. We're, you know, coming up with the design that we want for the gate section. We're keeping it consistent because we're reusing the same materials here. So we're going to reuse the same textures as well, which is good. Now that we've got the design laid out, we can just duplicate that so we can attach it to the curve section, and then we also have the short section, which I don't know if we're actually going to use that short section of wall. I don't know if we're going to need it, but I think we might leave it there for today, and we'll pick up where we left off here tomorrow. We'll continue working on our gate section. Well, what are you guys saying now? Hang on, let me catch up with the chat here. Hang on, what? Sniper Girl says, I agree. Just a name like Phil Does 3D, expect more. Hellwood says, I read that as Phil Does Taxes and got real worried for a moment. Sniper Girl says, I mean granted texturing is part of the process, but not all of it. Hellwood says, he probably should at some point so the government doesn't come knocking. Andrew Doss says, I wouldn't sub to Phil Does Taxes. Sniper Girl agrees. She says to Android Lust, I would rather have food poisoning again. Smurf says, waiting for an episode of Phil is 2D when Phil gets trapped in the second dimension. Hellboy says, didn't Phil do a 2D stream at some point? I don't think I did. Android Lust says, need more Phil Does ZBrush. Sniper Girl says, Phil Does ZBrush should be an entire Phil ranting about ZBrush for the entire stream. Hellboy says that could be a redeemable channel point thingy, 100k for a ZBrush stream. Oh, I have to have a think about that one. You know, it's like pulling. Yeah, me and using ZBrush, I only use it when I absolutely positively have to, and even then I don't like it. Android Loss says, I have 138k, I'll do it. You're quite welcome. Yeah, thanks guys and girls for hanging out with me, for being here and for watching. We'll pick up where we left off tomorrow. We will finish off the fence section for the gate. Once we've done that, I'm not sure after we've done this whether we'll jump back into Unreal and work on more landscape stuff, or whether we'll work on the Art Deco entryway. I think we'll probably, because we're working now on this section, on the first section of the landscape with the gate, we might continue and work on the Art Deco entryway. Now it is a model I've already finished, like it's a model that I actually sell, I'm going to reuse for the game. But we're going to have to break it up because at the moment it uses too many texture maps, and so we're going to have to condense it and optimize it. So we might work on that after we finish the gate section here. But I'll see how I feel. You're quite welcome. Thank you guys for hanging out, watching. I will be back on tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States. You guys and girls have a great night. I hope you're feeling better soon, Sniper Girl, with your food poisoning. Get a good night's sleep. And don't eat anything too heavy. Thanks for popping in. It was good to see you, Sniper Echo. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully, and we'll pick up where we left off. See you guys.